So, hello everyone, welcome to the live learning app of Edupower Academy. This is your educator Sarth, and today is your demo class on economics, and we will be covering a chapter which is called as balance of payment. So, let us get started. Balance of payment. Okay. So, all of us know that India has been a country which has made trade possible with other countries of the world. Okay. India has traded with many other countries of the world. When we were a British colony, we used to trade with Britain. Okay. We also used to trade with China. Okay. What kind of trade we do? Presently also we are trading many things with the rest of the world. What kind of trade we do? What kind of things we export? So, if we talk about our exports, you might be knowing that we export things like basmati rice, like Alfonso mango, right, like sharbati wheat. We export all these things, we export the basic commodities, we export pulses. And what do we import? We import various kinds of goods like electronic goods from China. We import various kinds of metals like the gold metal we import from USA. We import oil, the oil which you use in your car, that oil is all imported. So, this chapter, the chapter on balance of payment, deals with whatever things we export and import. Okay. So, whatever we export and import all make a part of the balance of payment, they come under the balance of payment. Okay. Now, basically what is a balance of payment? So, it is a summary statement, it is a summary statement, it's basically a summary. Okay. It's like a financial statement, it's like a summary statement in which all the economic transactions, what kind of transactions? Economic transactions between residents and the rest of the world are recorded. Okay. Now, we are going to explain you what are economic transactions and what are residents. Okay. Now, economic transactions. So, suppose this is a person in India. Okay. So, whatever the transactions are there between this person, whatever the transactions are there between this person of India and the rest of the world, okay, rest of the world, these transactions are the economic transactions. Okay. So, for example, this person imports a certain luxury car, okay, so that is an economic transaction. Or for example, this person exports something to the rest of the world, then it will come under the economic transaction. Okay. Or for example, the child of this person studies in USA and he sends fees for for his child, that will be another an economic transaction between this person and rest of the world. And this person which we are talking about, it is nothing but what we call as the normal resident, normal residents. So, what is balance of payment? It is an economic transaction between the normal residents of the country and the rest of the world. Okay. Now, what all comes under the normal residents? So, under normal residents, three entities come. What are these three entities? So, residents of a country include individuals. It includes first of all individuals, whatever individuals are there who are residing in the country. Secondly, it includes all the firms which are registered in the country, they are also included under normal residents. And thirdly, the government agencies, whatever the government agencies are there, whatever the government are there, they also come under the normal residents. Okay. Now, what do you mean by economic transactions? So, we have already studied economic transactions means any kind of transaction that are done between this person, any kind of transaction which is done between this person and the rest of the world. Okay. Between this person and the rest of the world, they can be called as economic transactions. Okay. So, economic transactions are those transactions which involve, they are transactions which involve transfer of ownership of goods, services, money and assets. Okay. So, they are called basically economic transactions, right. Now, what all economic transactions are there? We will just have a look. What are the different types of economic transactions? Okay. I will just erase it. the types of economic transactions. So basically what we are studying is a summary statement between the normal residents and the rest of the world. Now we are going to study what are the different kinds of economic transactions, what kind of transactions are possible. Okay. So first kind of transaction which is possible is that of the visible goods. Okay, visible goods. So there are four kinds of transaction which are possible. The first kind is of the visible goods. Visible goods means when we import and export the goods, they are the visible goods. Okay. We all know that India is an exporter of the raw material, of the commodities. Okay. We export cotton, we export jute, we export silk, okay. We export sugarcane, we export milk, we export pulses, we export wheat, we export basmati rice. All these basic essential commodities are exported, and also we import various things. What all do we import? We import gold, okay. We import machinery, okay. We import oil and petroleum from abroad, okay. So India, so whatever the import and export is taking place, this visible goods talk about that kind of economic transactions, okay. Now my dear friends, how does this import and export takes place? So let us just have a look. Okay. So India has many ports. बात कर लो. Okay. Okay. So India has many ports, and on these ports we have these big ships. Okay. And these big ships are there, and these big ships have huge carrying capacity, and they carry something called as a container. Okay. What you are seeing here is a container, and these, through with the help of this container, you can import and export whatever goods you want. Okay. So many of the electronic goods which presently we are using in India, they are all imported. Okay. Many of the high end cars are imported, okay, and many of the cloth that is exported. So it is through these containers through which the import and export takes place. Okay. What happens is, they are big cranes. These cranes, what they do, they load and offload this container. India, this is a very big container ship, it is a container ship, and India has various ports. India has ports along the western coast of India, like Mumbai has a very big port, JNPT port. Okay. Also Kolkata has a very big port, Haldia port. All the coastal states, they have a very big port, and all on these coastal states we have these kinds of big containers which help in the import and export of goods. Okay. So what we are studying now, we are studying the economic transactions. The first kind of economic transactions which we study is the visible goods. Okay. Now we will move on to the next kind of economic transaction, which is invisible items. Yeah. So economic transactions, we are studying the type of economic transactions. First is the visible goods. Second is invisible items. invisible items. Okay. What are invisible items? Invisible items means the basic services which India provides to the rest of the world or the rest of the world provides to India. For example, you know that India has many IT companies. Many IT companies. What these IT companies do? You have heard of the IT company TCS, Infosys. Okay, so these IT companies are present in India, and then they provide IT services, for example, web development, web designing services or software development services to the countries which are located abroad. Okay. So, this is another type of economic transaction. So, this economic transaction includes invisible items, which basically means services. Okay. Have you heard call center? Have you heard what is a call center? It is a BPO, business process outsourcing. So, basically a call center is a place. So, basically what happens is, for example, we have Amazon, okay, Amazon USA. So, they need to provide call center to their consumers, to the users. So, what they will do, instead of establishing call centers in USA, they would establish call centers in India. Okay. Why? Because it will be cheaper for them to establish a call center in India. So, basically what kind of transaction it is? It is a transaction of invisible items, because India is providing them services of call centers. Okay. So, this is again an invisible item. Okay. There are many other examples: shipping, banking, insurance, business process outsourcing, all of it comes under the invisible items. Okay. So, this was the second variety of the economic transaction. Third variety is the unilateral transfers. Third variety is unilateral transfers. Okay, what do you mean by unilateral? Unilateral means here only one person, so here only transfer is one sided. Okay. So, in this kind of transfer, no goods or services are provided in return. No goods or services are provided in return. For example, gifts. For example, gifts. Okay. So, I will give you a very good example of gifts. Suppose our neighbor Pakistan is facing a financial crisis. Our neighbor Pakistan is facing a financial crisis, and suppose India says that we are gifting Pakistan some money, we are gifting Pakistan some money. Okay. Why? Because Pakistan is facing financial crisis. That is why maybe India gifts Pakistan some money, that will come under unilateral transfer. Such transfers for which no goods or services is provided in return are called as unilateral transfers. Okay. For example, suppose there is God forbid, if there is tsunami in India, okay, if there is tsunami or this earthquake in India, then what other countries will do? The developed countries like USA, they may provide us some gifts. Okay. They may provide us some gifts, and so these gifts will come under which head? They will come under unilateral transfer head. Okay. Why they are unilateral transfer? Because they are providing us gift, we do not need to provide any goods or service in return. Okay. So, gifts, they come under unilateral transfer. Fourth kind of transfer fourth kind of economic transaction which we are going to study is the capital transaction. Capital transaction. Okay. Capital transaction means which involve movement of capital. These are the transactions which involve movement of capital from one country to another country. Okay. capital. So basically we study about it in detail. We will study it includes investments. Okay, investments. Suppose we have Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the CEO of Tesla. And what does Tesla do? Tesla manufactures electric cars. So suppose Elon Musk feels that India has a demand for electric cars. Okay, India has a young bubbling population. India has a growing economy. So what he will do? He will come to India and he will establish a Tesla factory in India. Okay, so what he will do, basically he will invest money in India. So that kind of transaction which will take place will come under investments head. Okay, likewise there is loans. Okay, suppose India has to construct a bridge. Okay, and for constructing that bridge, India takes a loan from the World Bank. Okay, so that kind of loan will come under capital transactions. So basically when we talk about economic transaction, there are 4 kinds of economic transaction. First is the visible goods, other is the visible items, third is unilateral transfer, and fourth is the capital transaction. Okay, now we will move ahead to the chapter. Next is structure of balance of payment. Structure of balance of payment. Next heading is structure of BOP. Structure of BOP. So basically what is BOP? BOP is an account. Okay, so BOP is an account which records all the economic transactions between the residents of the India and the rest of the world. It's basically an account only ना. ये एक अकाउंट है जो कि क्या देखता है, ये देखता है कि क्या क्या ट्रांजेक्शन्स हुए इंडिया एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड के बीच में. ठीक है, जैसे कि योर पेरेंट्स हैव अ बैंक अकाउंट, जो आपके पेरेंट्स का बैंक अकाउंट है वो क्या देखता है, वो ये देखता है कि क्या क्या ट्रांजेक्शन्स हुए बिटवीन योर पेरेंट्स एंड द रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. लाइकवाइज BOP इज ऑल्सो एन अकाउंट. सो इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द स्ट्रक्चर, देयर आर 2 sides. First is the credit side. First is the credit side. Okay, credit side. Credit side means when there is inflow of the foreign currency. In credit side there is inflow of foreign currency. Okay, credit means when there is inflow of the foreign currency. What do you mean by foreign currency? Any currency apart from the INR is called as foreign currency. Okay, so you have your dollar, that is a foreign currency, Chinese renminbi, that is a foreign currency, Japanese yen, that is a foreign currency, British pound sterling, that is a foreign currency, European Union euro, that is a foreign currency. Okay, so any currency apart from the Indian currency is called as the foreign currency. Now what do you mean by credit side? Credit means inflow of the foreign currency. So whenever foreign currency moves to India, whenever foreign currency comes to India, it will be registered on the credit side of the balance of payment. It will be registered on which side? On the credit side. Credit means aya. It has entered money has entered India. Foreign exchange has entered India. Okay. Now example here is, when does inflow of foreign exchange takes place? Please note down. First is exports. Exports. Okay. So in exports, what happens when we export? Suppose India is exporting basmati rice. Okay. So if we export basmati rice, what we will get in return? We will get the foreign currency, we will get dollars in return. Okay. Suppose we are exporting it to USA, we are exporting basmati rice to USA, so USA will pay us in dollars. Okay, so that dollars will come to India, okay, that will come to India, and when they will come to India, they will be registered on the credit side of the balance of payment. Okay, they will be recorded on the credit side of the balance of payment. Next is when India takes loans, taking loans. Okay, so suppose India needs to construct a flyover, and for constructing the flyover India does not have sufficient funds. What will India do? India will take loan from the World Bank, okay, for the development projects, and when India takes loan from the World Bank will pay money to India. No, foreign exchange will come to India, dollars will come to India, and hence it will be registered on which side of the BOP? It will be registered on the credit side of the balance of payment. Okay. Yeah. So exports and taking loans. Next is, this is the first side. There is a two sides of the balance of payment. Balance of payment is nothing like it's an account. Like you have a bank account. Okay. When money comes into the bank account, you call it credit. When money goes out of the bank account, you call it debit. Similar cases with BOP. When money comes inside India, it is called credit, and when money goes outside, it is called as debit. So debit side is debit side is nothing but outflow of foreign currency. Outflow of foreign currency. Okay. Example is imports. So when money flows out of India, the foreign currency flows out of India, it is called as debit. For example, imports. Okay. So Indians love gold. Okay. Do you know which is the country which produces maximum gold in the world? It is USA, none other than USA. Now, when India imports gold from USA, Indians need to pay money to USA, okay, and USA will accept money in rupee or dollar. Obviously बात है, USA will accept money in dollars, okay. So effectively what has happened? Money has flown out of India, or rather I should say there is an outflow of foreign currency, there is outflow of dollars from India. Okay. So whenever we import something, it is registered on which side of the BOP? It is registered on the debit side of the balance of payment. Okay. Means money has flown outside India. Okay. Next is granting loans. Granting loans. So suppose we have our neighbor Pakistan, okay, and suppose there is some economic problem which is going on in Pakistan, okay. So India needs to give loan to Pakistan. India grants loan to Pakistan, suppose. So it will be recorded on which side of the BOP? Credit side or debit side? So it will be recorded on the debit side because money has flown out, right? Money has flown out. Pakistani rupiah has flown out. We have given money to Pakistan, okay. So if we have granted loan to another country, it will be recorded on the debit side of the balance of payment. So this was the basic structure of balance of payment. Now moving on to the components of balance of payment. I hope you have made the note of all these points. Components of BOP. Yes. Now we will be discussing the components of balance of payment. The most important topic, this is frequently asked in the CUET exam, components of balance of payment. What is BOP? BOP is nothing but the balance of payment. Okay. So, broadly if you talk about the components, there are two components. Okay. One is the current account, and other is the capital account. Current account and other account is the capital account. Okay. So, we have basically two accounts under the balance of payment, one is the current account and another is the capital account. Okay. So, we will start with the current account first. Okay. What is current account? So, current account are the transactions which affect India's national income and expense. Okay. Those transactions, okay, which records the things related to export and import of goods and services and unilateral transfer is called as current account. So, what all do we have in current account? We have things like export and import of goods, export and import of services and unilateral transfers along with rent, interest and payment. Okay. So, please note down current account, it is an account which records, all transactions related to export and import of goods and services and unilateral transfers during a given period of time. Okay. It does not cause, please note down, it does not cause any change in the asset liability position of the country. It does not cause any change in the asset liability position of the country. So, what are the heads under current account? First head under current account is export and import of goods. Export and import of goods. Please note, here we are talking only about goods. Okay. So, we have already discussed how the export and import of goods take place. It is through big container ships that the export and import of goods take place. Okay. Now, this thing is called as balance of trade. This thing is called as balance of trade. Balance of trade. What is balance of trade? What is balance of trade? Balance of trade is nothing but the difference between amount of goods exported and the amount of goods which are imported. So, balance of trade only deals about goods, it does not deals about services. First of all, we are talking only about the export and import of goods. Goods means physical items. Okay. So, balance of trade. So, balance of trade, if you want to note, please note down the definition. Balance of trade is the difference, it is the difference between the export of goods and the import of goods. Okay. What is balance of trade? Suppose, suppose we have India we have rest of the world. This is rest of the world, everything except India, all countries except India. Okay. Now, I am talking about export and import of goods. Suppose India has exported goods worth rupees, suppose 1000, okay, but India has imported goods worth rupees 1200. So, we export various kind of things to the rest of the world. We have already discussed that we export all the raw material, okay. We export cotton, we export jute, we export rice, we export wheat, we export fruits, and what we import? We import the finished goods, we import electronics, okay. We import cars, okay. We import phones, okay. So, we import gold, we import oil. So, basically it is the difference between the export and the import. So, what is balance of trade? If I write the formula, so balance of trade will be nothing but the difference between the export and import. Okay. So, here can you tell me what is the balance of trade? The balance of trade is amount exported minus amount imported, that is 1000 minus 1200, that is minus 200. Okay. So, all in all here India has lost money because export amount is only 1000, but import amount is 1200. Okay. So, here what will the balance of trade in this case? So, if in this case if I calculate, the balance of trade will be export is only 1000, but import is 1200. So, BOT will be nothing but minus 200. Okay. So, basically what has happened is India has lost money to the world. India has to pay this money to the world, because why? Because India has imported more. India has imported more and India has exported very less. India has exported goods worth only 1000, but India has imported 1200 goods worth rupees 1200. Okay. So, this is called as balance of trade. Now, there can be three situations in the balance of trade. I hope everyone has noted this. Balance. So, what we are studying? We are studying current account, and in current account we are studying the first head, which is export and import of goods. Okay. Now, balance of trade is nothing but export minus import. Now, balance of trade BOT, there can be three situations. The balance of trade can be either surplus, What do you mean by surplus balance of trade? Surplus means the amount of exports are more than the amount of import. Surplus का meaning क्या होता है? Surplus means we have extra reserves with us, we have some money left with us, and how this money will be left, how we will have that saving? That saving is only possible when the amount of exports will be more than the amount of imports. That extra surplus will be there only when amount of exports will be more than the amount of import. If we export more amount and we import less amount, then only we will have some amount of surplus. So, first case is when their balance of trade is a surplus. It is a very favorable situation for India. Because in this situation we have money coming in, we have foreign currency coming in, and all this foreign currency and these reserves, they are saved by the RBI, they are kept safe by the RBI. Next case is deficit. What do you mean by deficit? Deficit means a lack of something, okay, lack of something. So, what is deficit? So, when there is a deficit, that means the exports are less than the imports. So, when we are exporting less and importing more, it is a case of deficit. Deficit means reduction. What we are reducing? We are reducing the foreign currency, we are reducing the foreign exchange reserves. Why? Because if we are exporting more and we are importing less, that means foreign currency will go outside. Okay? Foreign currency will go outside because our export is less and our import is more. So, if our import is more, we have to pay money to the other countries. More money has to be paid to other countries as compared to the money which India receives. So, it is a case of BOT deficit. Third case is the BOT balanced. BOT balanced. In case of BOT balanced, we have balance between exports and imports. So, here basically the amount of export is equal to the amount of import, but it rarely happens that the balance of trade is balanced. Okay. So, in case of India, usually we have this case, the balance of trade is in a deficit, we are exporting less and we are importing more. Why? Because India is not yet a manufacturing hub, we are unable to manufacture things on that scale at which China is doing, because China has huge economics of scale. Whatever electronics you use in India, most of it is imported in China. Okay. Whatever plastics you use in India, most of it is imported from China. So, we don't, so basically India, we have a deficit of the balance of trade, that is export is less than the import. Now, moving on to the next part. So, this balance of trade, it is also called as merchandise trade. First head we saw in the current account, which was export and import of goods, and that is also called as merchandise trade, that is also called as visible trade because those goods are actually visible in the container, or that is also called as tangible trade. Next is balance of services. So, we are studying current account. First we have studied export and import of goods. Next heading is balance of services. Okay. So, services means, you know, India provides many various services. For example, we provide IT services, that is also called as BPO. No, that is not BPO, BPO is different thing. We provide IT services. So, basically we have Indian firms like TCS and Infosys, and these TCS and Infosys or Wipro, what they do, they provide IT services to the clients who are sitting in USA. So, for example, there is a company in USA and that company wants to develop a software, okay, or that company wants to develop a website. So, what they will do, they will contact the Indian IT majors like TCS and Infosys, and they will, the TCS and Infosys will help them develop the software or develop their website. Okay. So, this is called export and import of services. Now, can you tell me, if Indian IT company like TCS has provided services to a USA company, then it will be which side of the BOP? It will be credit side or debit side. So, if Indian company like TCS has provided services to a USA company, basically India has provided services, and in return what India will get? India will get the foreign currency, India will get the payment of dollars. Okay. So, this money will basically flow inside India, and hence it will be recorded on the credit side of the BOP. Which side? Credit side of the balance of payment. Okay. Now, IT services. What else? What all services we provide? Business process outsourcing, call center services. Call center services. So, suppose Amazon USA is there, and they have established a call center in India. Now Indian call center is helping them to manage their clients, manage their business. So here also this will be recorded on the credit side of the BOP, because we are providing them services, the call center is providing them services, and in return they are providing us money. IT, BPO, banking, shipping, all they come and all of it comes under services. Yes, next is next third heading is unilateral transfer, unilateral transfer from and to abroad. What is unilateral transfer? They are the transfers for which goods or services are not provided in return. ऐसे ट्रांसफर है जहाँ पे only the money is transferred and no goods or services are provided in return. For example, gifts. Gifts. Okay. So for example, we have Modi ji. This is Modi ji. Okay, our prime minister, and suppose he goes to the USA. He goes to USA, our PM goes to USA, and the president of USA gives him a gift. Okay, gift. So that where that gift will be recorded on BOP, it will be recorded under the head unilateral transfer from abroad. Okay, so money has come inside, money has come flown in India, so that will be recorded on the credit side of the balance of payment. Credit side, money is being credited in India. Okay, gifts. Next is, so I hope you are clear with the gift. Next is personal remittance. Personal remittance. What is personal remittance? Suppose there is a father and there is a son. There is a father and there is a son. Now this father, this son is settled down in USA. Okay, he has got a very good job in USA. Now what this son will do, he will send some money to his father. He will send some money to his father for the father's day to day subsistence. ठीक है, for the survival of his father, अपने father के day to day इसके लिए he will send some money to his father. So that money where it will come under unilateral transfer from abroad. Okay, so this is called as personal remittance. Okay, and it's a unilateral transfer because in return the father is not providing any goods or service to the son. It's just a unilateral transfer. Okay, hence this will come under unilateral transfer. And can you tell me which side of the BOP it will be recorded? It will be recorded on the credit side or the debit side? Yes. So it will be recorded on the credit side of the balance of payment, because money has flown inside India. This money has flown from USA to India. Hence money has come inside India. Hence it will be recorded on the credit side of the balance of payment. Okay, next is gifts and personal remittance. Third head we have seen unilateral transfer from and to abroad. What we are studying? We are studying components of balance of payment, in which there are two components, current account and capital account. Current account we have studied three components. First was the import and export of goods, second is the import and export of services, and third is the unilateral transfer from and to abroad. We will move on to the next, fourth one. Which is income received to and from abroad. Income to and from abroad. Income to and from abroad. So, what all incomes do we have? We have three kinds of income. First is rent, second is interest, first is rent, second is interest, and third is profit. Rent, interest, and profit. There are three kinds of income, okay, rent, interest, and profit. So, for example, rent, I will tell you how it will work. So, for example, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, okay, he has a big house in Dubai, okay, and suppose he rents out that house to a person, okay. What kind of income he will get? He will get rent from that person. Which side of the BOP it will be recorded? It will be recorded in the current account in income to and from abroad, and it will be on the credit side or debit side. It will be on the credit side, because money has come to India. Money has come to India, right? Rent, okay. Profit, interest. How interest? Suppose this is the World Bank and this is India. Now, suppose India has to develop a flyover, and for developing the flyover, India requires funds from the World Bank. So, India will take loan from the World Bank. India will take loan from the World Bank. Now, this loan will not come under current account. We will discuss this in detail. This loan will come under capital account, okay. But for that loan, India has to pay World Bank what? India has to pay some interest to the World Bank. India has to pay some interest to the World Bank, and that interest which India pays will be recorded on the income to and from abroad head in the current account, okay. Now, can you tell me, will this interest be on the credit side or the debit side? Which side it will be? Which side it will be? This interest will be, because see, this interest has flown outside India. This interest has flown outside India, hence this interest will be on the debit side of the balance of payment, because money has flown outside India. Money has flown out of India, hence it will be recorded on the debit side of the balance of payment, because money is flowing from India to World Bank, okay. WB means World Bank. India takes loan from World Bank, India pays back the interest to World Bank. That interest will be recorded on the debit side of the balance of payment. I hope it is clear to everyone. Now, third case is profit. Suppose we have Tesla. What does Tesla do? Tesla manufacture electric cars, okay. Suppose they decide one fine day they decide to come to India and start manufacturing cars in India, okay. So, they will basically start manufacturing cars in India, and then they will sell these cars and they will profit out of these cars, okay. So, this is Tesla, this is India. So, when they profit out of these cars, when they take back the profit, whatever profit they take back, that will be included in the current account of the balance of payment. If they are taking back the profit, that will be included in the current account of the balance of payment. Likewise, suppose, so this will be included which side, credit side or debit side? It will be in the debit side of the balance of payment, because money is flowing outside, money is flowing outside, hence it will be recorded on the debit side of the balance of payment. Another very good example, suppose we have Shri Ratan Tata ji. Ratan Tata ji decides one fine day that he is going to establish a car manufacturing plant in UK. He is going to establish a car manufacturing plant in UK. So, whatever profit he is going to get back from that car manufacturing plant, whatever money in the form of profit he will get back, that money will come under income from abroad, income from abroad, that is profit, and it will be recorded on the credit side of the BOP and not on the debit side, because that money has actually flown to India. Okay. So, that will be recorded on the credit side of the balance of payment. Okay. So, this was rent, interest and profit. Yeah. So, students, we have discussed about current account. We have seen 4 heads in current account. 4th head we saw rent, interest and profit. Now, we are going to study about capital account. Okay. So, I will erase the current account wala thing, capital account. What do you mean by capital account? What is capital? What do you mean by the word capital? So, capital means money to start the business, money to start any kind of business. So, what kind of transactions are capital account transactions? So, they are the transactions in which there is movement of either investment, okay, foreign investment or foreign loans, foreign debt. So, basically these transactions come under the capital account transactions. So, first kind of transactions which we will see in the capital account. So, there are further 3 heads in capital account. First kind is investment to and from abroad, investment to and from abroad. Investment to and from abroad. So, suppose, so basically investments are of 2 types. If I talk about the investments, they are basically of 2 types. Two types of investments are possible. First kind of investment is the FDI. What is FDI? FDI means foreign direct investment. Okay. So, for example, we have Mr. Elon Musk, we have Mr. Elon Musk, and Elon Musk feels that, so basically what does Elon Musk do? Elon Musk is the founder of Tesla. Okay. Basically what they do, they manufacture electric cars. They manufacture electric cars. Now, if he feels that India has a very good market for electric cars, what he will do, he is going to come to India, okay, and he is going to establish a factory in India. What he will do, he will take a land, and on that land he will start a factory. He will start a factory in India, and that factory will come under, so basically that will come under foreign direct investment. In the foreign direct investment, the foreign company comes to India and starts manufacturing or starts providing services to Indians. That is basically FDI. This is first kind of investment. So, if he puts money in India, it will be recorded in the credit side or debit side of the BOP, it will be recorded in the credit side. Why credit side? Because money has come inside India, money has come to India, it will be recorded on the credit side. Okay, next is FII. So, if you want to note FDI, you can make the note of the definition. You can make note of the definition. FDI is investment in assets. FDI is investment in assets giving direct control to the investor. Investment in assets giving direct control to the investor, generally more than 10%. Investment in assets giving direct control to the investor, generally more than 10%, and FDI is long term. It is long term. Okay. Next is FII. It is also called as FPI. FII full form is foreign institutional investment or foreign portfolio investment. What happens in a foreign institutional investment is a foreign company invests money in the Indian stock market. Okay. So, they buy the shares, they buy the bonds of the Indian companies who are listed on the stock market. For example, we have a foreign investment bank. Suppose we have a foreign investment bank called as Goldman Sachs. Okay. Goldman Sachs. What it will do? It will come to India? No, it will not come to India. No need of coming to India. They will directly buy the companies who are listed on the stock exchange. Sensex, you know. So, they will directly buy companies, they will buy the share of the companies, they will buy the bonds of the companies who are listed on the Indian stock exchange. Okay. And this gives indirect control to the investor. Okay. So, they are not getting the direct control here, what they are getting is the indirect control. Okay. So, if you want to make a note, please make a note. FII, it is investment in shares, bonds in a foreign country, giving indirect control to the investors. Okay. So, these are the two kinds of investment. So, suppose Goldman Sachs is invested in India. So, it will be recorded on which side, credit side or debit side? It will be recorded on the credit side, because money has come to India. Money has come to India. Okay. Okay. Another thing, for example, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, he feels that he wants to establish the network of Jio in another country. Okay. Suppose he wants to establish Jio network in England. What he will do? He will go to England, he will buy land there, he will establish a factory there. So, for doing that, that is basically an example of FDI, foreign direct investment, but here the investment has moved out, it has not come inside. So, it will be an example of credit side or debit side of the BOP. It will be an example of on the debit side of the BOP, because money has moved outside. Okay. So, first head is investments to and from abroad. Next heading, next is loans to and from abroad. Loans. Loans. Okay. So, for example, the Indian government wants to construct a flyover, and for constructing the flyover they are taking loan from the World Bank. Okay, this is the World Bank. So, for constructing a flyover, the Indian government takes a loan from the World Bank. This loan amount, if I talk about the loan amount, it will be on which side of the BOP? In the capital account, the loans head, and it will be on the credit side or the debit side. It will be on the credit side of the balance of payment, because money has flown to India, loan has come to India. That loan amount that has come to India, that will be included on the credit side of the balance of payment. Okay. Yeah. Another example, suppose India gives loan to another country like Somalia. Okay. India is giving loan to Somalia. So, that loan will come on which side, credit side or debit side of the BOP? That will be included on the debit side of the BOP, because that loan money is flowing outside. that loan money is going outside, hence it will be included on the debit side of the balance of payment. Okay. So, this is the loan thing. So, loan can be taken also and loan can be given also, both cases are possible. If loan is taken from abroad, money has flown inside, it will be the credit side of the BOP. If loan is given to another country, that will be the case of debit side on the balance of payment. And mind, just one more thing to tell, if India has taken the loan, if India pays the interest, which side this interest will be there? So, we had studied in the current account, in the incomes head, rent, interest and payment, RIP, RIP, so it will be included there. Okay. So, this interest, this will not come under the capital account, it will come under current account. Now, second head is done. Third is change in third head is change in reserves, capital account. There are three heads in it. Change in reserves. So, under the change in reserves, there are two cases. What do you mean by reserves? Reserves means whatever foreign currency is kept by the government, that is reserves. So, basically this foreign currency, this foreign currency is not kept by the government, this foreign currency is kept by the RBI. The RBI holds the foreign currencies. Okay. Now, change in reserves. So, forex reserves are the part of the financial asset of the government which are held in the central bank, that is the RBI. Okay. Now, first case, now you should know there can be two cases. First case is withdrawal of the reserves. Under this there are two cases, change in the reserves. If there is withdrawal of reserves, withdrawal of reserves is taken on the credit side of the BOP, is taken on the credit side of the BOP, credit side. How come withdrawal of reserves is taken on the credit side? Why? See, because here we are taking two different entities, RBI and government, RBI and government. Okay. Now, the reserves, who holds the reserves? Who hold the reserves? These reserves is held by the RBI. And what are reserves? Reserves are nothing but they are foreign currency. Okay. RBI holds dollars, it holds yen, it holds renminbi, it holds euro. Whatever the foreign currencies are there, RBI holds all these foreign currencies. Now, what is withdrawal? So, if there is withdrawal of reserves, the RBI will withdraw the money and give it to the government. Okay. RBI will withdraw the money and give it to the government. So, for the government, if we look at the government's, from the government's end, if we look, it will be a credit. This money has flown out from RBI to the government, hence it will be credit for the government, because we are studying balance of payment. And what is balance of payment? Balance of payment is nothing but the record of the economic transactions, okay, between the normal residents and the rest of the world. Okay. And the normal residents, we also have government, we do not have RBI in it. Okay. So, basically we are studying, whatever we are studying is for the government and not for the RBI. So, हमें government का देखना है. So, withdrawal of reserves is included on the credit side. And likewise, so this can be directly asked in the exam, कि withdrawal from the reserve is taken on the credit side or the debit side. So, you should know that withdrawal from the reserves is taken on the credit side. Next is addition to reserves, addition to the reserves is taken on the debit side. of BOP. Now, we have RBI again. This RBI holds all the foreign currency reserves, dollar, yen, everything it holds. Now, when RBI, suppose government has some excess money, it has some excess dollars. So, what the government will do? Government will pay to the RBI. So, that payment is for the RBI, it is addition of reserve, it is extra reserve coming in, but for the government this is the debit side, it is debit, money is flowing outside the government treasury, money is flowing outside. Okay. So, it seems to be counterintuitive, but actually this is correct. Withdrawal of reserves means credit side and addition to reserves means debit side. Okay. And what is this? Credit side of balance of payment, okay, and debit side of the balance of payment. Debit side of the balance of payment and credit side of the balance of payment. Okay. So, we are done with the chapter. Now, if you want, we can have a discussion of the previous year questions. Yeah. So, this question you can solve. This is actual CUET previous year question paper. Okay. Now, question number 5718127, balance of payment. Okay. Balance of payment. So, we know that balance of payment is a flow concept. A should be 4. Now, we have two accounts, current account and capital account. So, current account of the balance of payment. What does the current account talk about? It talks about the export and import of the invisible items, C2. Okay. Export and import of the invisible items, C2. Okay. Now, capital account talks about the borrowings from abroad, D should be 1. Okay. D should be equal to 1. Okay. Now, balance of payment is it's a flow concept, 4. A should be equal to 4. Answer is D. Because why? Because balance of payment is a flow concept. This I will teach you in the next lecture, accommodating transactions. This I will teach you in the next lecture. Accommodating transactions are BTL, they are below the line items. Okay. So, answer is D. So, this is actual previous year question. So, you can subscribe to our online course, you will get all the live classes, you will get the recorded videos, you will get study material and test series. Thank you everyone.